Hi there, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News with me, Benis Abubeidu. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341. It's broadcasting live on Joy 99.7 FM, also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telisol 4G, proudly Ghanaian. Telisol, just a touch. And UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, let's go. Coming up, appeals court judges kick against government's decision to demolish their bungalows to make way for National Cathedral. We'll bring you details as they accuse government of interfering in the judiciary. But government claims the judges were in agreement with them all along.
Had a complaint from any of those judges that were going to be relocated. In one of the family or said, Daddy, this is very beautiful. Why are we still wasting time? We need to move in quickly.
Also in this bulletin,
the situation with Dr. Mensah Otabil, I want to caution every Christian, shut your mouth. Tell somebody, shut your big mouth.
Shut your mouth. That's the advice from General Overseer of the Christian Action Faith Ministries to Christians and others condemning Pastor Mensah Otabil for his alleged involvement in the collapse of Capital Bank. And is President Akufo-Addo's vision of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa on course? Today, we begin a week-long probe on Joy News Agenda.
By the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa.
And in sports,
the sports ministry says it will contact CAF to clear the air on circling reports that the country has been stripped of the hosting rights for this year's Africa Women's Cup of Nations.
Also in this package, surgical team at EP Church Hospital at Pandai in the northern region suspends plans of leaving the district for lack of anesthetic machines after Joy News report brings results.
And I'll say, join is all the Pandai people, if they can get my voice, that is all stand up and thank Grace News. And I'll say, may God bless them. Because I was counting my letters.
We've got details to stay.
I believe for a very long time it was a missing link in our national architecture. We did not have a national cathedral, interdenominational in I believe for a very long time it was a missing link in our national architecture. We did not have a national cathedral, interdenominational in nature, where all Christians would gather on formal occasions of the state, the inauguration of presidents, the death of presidents, other national occasions, and in the solemnity of the cathedral, give thanks to the Almighty. What we have attempted to do today is to begin the process of filling in that gap.
That's President Akufo-Addo last year justifying the need for the construction of a national cathedral when he joined religious leaders to cut swords for work to begin. Construction, we know, will be starting this year, but it has not come without some criticism and opposition. Some justices of the appeals court have called on the judicial service and government to consider the demolition of their bungalows in order to make way for the construction of the national cathedral. We'll get details of their concerns, but first, Joy News' Komla Adom visited the site for the construction and our reports.
From the Ridge Circle, headed for the Accra International Conference Center, the land stretch on your left, about 6 hectares, close to Ghana's parliament, will soon have all the buildings pulled down. The passport office, which is in the center of this enclave, and other structures, including bungalows of 9 appeals court judges, are going to be demolished for the project. And from where I stand in front of the Judicial Training School, which is expected to go down to, a bungalow belonging to one appeals court judge sits. The property shares a wall with the training school. In there, some individuals are moving in and out of a room, pulling out shirt hangers, shoe racks and other room fittings. Not too far from the Maritime Authority office, more bungalows, some constructed only 5 years ago, will no longer be here. The Scholarship Secretariat, also in this enclave, light brick red and cream painted, antiquely built, will also go down once work begins for the construction of a 5,000 capacity cathedral. It is expected to have gardens and concave structures housing a chapel, baptistry, music school, choir rehearsal space, as well as Africa's first Bible museum and documentary center. It will also be a house of prayer for all people and will host state occasions, which are usually held at the Independence Square and the Accra International Conference Center. Occupants of these apartments have been served notices to vacate the area immediately, even as the Supreme Court hears the CPP's James Bomfest application to halt the process. The 9 appeals court judges whose bungalows have been affected have meanwhile been asked to move into a rented space, while government constructs a new bungalow at cantonments to be handed over to the Judicial Service by 2020.
That was Komla Adum's report. Well, retired pastor of the Elim Pentecostal Church, Bishop Lionel Carey, is asking government to reconsider its decision.
What are they going to do with it? You know, just every so often there'll be a national service or something, and they've got plenty of auditoriums where they can do that. So I think not just with the Ghana government, with many other governments, I think sometimes they decide on something which is for them, forgetting that there are people who are really suffering and struggling. So maybe they should think again.
You had retired pastor of Elim Pentecostal Church, Bishop Lionel Carey there. Well, 9 appeals court judges have been served notice to leave or vacate their homes. But some of them are kicking against the decision, saying it will set a very bad precedence for the Judicial Service. Manasseh Azuri-Awuni has spent time with some of them and joins me in the studio with their specific concerns. Manasseh, what exactly are the reasons are the judges giving you for saying that this is a bad decision?
Well, from what they are saying, it is not because of their personal interest, because if they are moved at all, they'll be given places, and some would actually get better places than they're actually occupying. But according to them, it will serve a bad precedence because they feel it is some form of interference from the executive arm of government, because it's not the first time judges have been asked to vacate their places, and they are saying the current locations, that's the rich area, that those buildings were initiated by the Judicial Council, funded by them, and some of them are yet to even finish paying the cost of some of them. So if they come and they say move, it is for a reason that the Judicial Service wanted to have all the appeals court judges at a particular location. So that is one reason. They also feel it does not make economic sense to demolish all of those buildings. And then they are also going to demolish some buildings at cantonments in order to build the 21 housing units. So they say it does not make economic, social, and moral sense to destroy all of those buildings and then build the cathedral. So they can take it elsewhere.
Manasseh, so have they vacated their premises?
I was able to see some of the premises, and I could say there are some judges or appeals court judges who are still there as we speak.
Manasseh, hold on for me. We can listen to former Lands Minister Peter Amewu responding to the judges' concern about interference in the judiciary.
That because of those existing bungalows, there will be a need for demolition. And so what we did, therefore, was to identify, well-built residential facilities of topmost quality. We've invited the judges, together with people from lands and natural resources, and each and every building that was made available for them to satisfy. In fact, in one of the visits, of course, which I was there myself, one of the family said, Daddy, this is very beautiful. Why are we still wasting time? We need to move in quickly. So the selection of the new residential building, there were even more placed in the better places in terms of constructing than where some of those. Never had a complaint from any of those judges that were going to be relocated. What the ministry has done was that we have even made land available for a training school, a 10-acre land available for training school on top of what we're giving them. We are also constructing an additional 21 state-of-the-art residential accommodation for the judges in the long term. Within the short term, we're just renting for about 1.5 years. Time this construction is completed, they would therefore move into these new locations.
Former Lands Minister Peter Amewu there. Manasseh, let me come back to you. Now, these judges say it doesn't make economic sense to them for their homes to be demolished for a building of a cathedral. But what's the nature of these buildings we are talking about?
We have 3 6-bedroom bungalows that have been completed. These are new buildings, and we are told they were handed over to the Judicial Service about 5 years ago. We also have 2 old ones. I'm talking of the Ridge, making 5. There are other 3 which are under construction. Actually, one has been roofed already, and the remaining ones are yet to reach that stage. So all of these buildings are going to be demolished at Ridge. And we're also told that 4 other bungalows after Ghana International School in cantonments will also be demolished.
And there seems to be controversy on who bears the cost of the relocation and construction of these 22 new bungalows at cantonments. Do we know what has been communicated to the Judicial Service?
From the letter written to the judges, which we have cited, that cost is going to be borne by the government. That's the cost of giving them temporary accommodations and also the construction of the 21 bungalows, which is expected to be completed in 2020. From what we see, it was stated from the letter to the judges that the government was going to bear those costs.
Manasseh, Mr. Mewu has also been speaking to this issue. Let's hear him.
It's a financial arrangement that we have undertaken, and I think when that is able to tell you exactly, but I know some individuals, are very instrumental in making sure that this comes to reality.
Is government paying for this?
Government efforts, of course, will be, the salaries that they are paying the workers to make sure that this thing is undertaken. The government on its own is putting a CD into this, but of course, the efforts of the civil servant, the efforts of the minister, and all this is to make sure these things are done, which of course can be read as cost. I think that's government effort.
So when you say government is not putting a CD in, does that include the rent for the judges over the 1.5 years?
Precisely. I mean, the ministry was not giving any budget for the judges. So there's a financial arrangement that was done with some private, individuals that are interested in giving this service. So government itself has not given out money for these rents to be conducted at all in any way.
So we had the former Lands Minister there. Manasseh, finally, what course of action do the judges intend to take to address their concerns?
Well, for them, because of what they do, these matters are likely to come to their court, so they cannot publicly go out there and then speak against it, but they would want the media to put their voices out there, and that the government should reconsider the decision to destroy all of those state buildings around, because for them, they are not against the construction of the cathedral, but the cost at which it would come is what they are worried about, including their own safety and others if they take into account previous such evictions.
Thank you very much, Manasseh Azuri Awuni there. Now, away from the construction of the National Cathedral in matters arise, and it's been 1 year and 4 months since President Akufo-Addo made his intention of making Accra the cleaner city on the African continent known. Now, the period also witnessed other promises by the immediate past Sanitation Minister, Joseph Kofi Adda. For Joy News Agenda this week, we probe the progress of the work towards achieving this vision. Nancy Emefadra-Dosi has the rest of the story.
Waste management has been one of the biggest problems facing the country. In 2014, it was the source of a massive cholera outbreak that claimed 150 lives. It therefore came as a great relief to Ghanaians when President Akufo-Addo pledged in April to deal with and even make our country the best in Africa.
By the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa.
He had created a new ministry earlier to ensure that his idea succeeds. Joseph Kofi Adda held his first media encounter to roll out his plan.
The ministry has also been able to complete a draft policy paper for the approval of cabinet to establish a national sanitation authority to serve as a dedicated agency to regulate and lead the implementation of the sanitation policies of government.
Months after this, our checks revealed the situation has rather worsened. Mr. Adda made an appearance on Joy News to make another pledge. to show evidence of his performance by June 2018. Ghanaians grew more and more impatient.
Yes, sanitation minister.
He doesn't do anything. They are just wasting taxpayers' money on him.
President Akufo-Addo reassigned Mr. Ada, but will the arrival of the new minister help revive the president's vision? Only time will tell, but some Ghanaians are already doubtful.
As for the new minister, I know she will not do anything different. All our leaders are the same.
Ghanaians are counting down to the end of 2020, which is just 2 years away.
Nancy Dosi filed that report. Let's head to two regions where Joy News reports are bringing results in two communities. We start off from Mafi Akukokpo in the Volta region, where Joseph Opoku-Gakpo's story on residents there drinking muddy water shocked the nation. Following this report, an NGO, Water for Rural Africa, has begun work to drill a borehole for the residents. Engineers from the NGO were in the village to prospect for water on Thursday. A location for the borehole has been identified, and the engineers found the water table good for drilling a borehole. However, Assembly member for the area, Julius Kalfiavi, tells Joy News they couldn't complete the work because the grounds were wet following rains 2 days earlier. The engineers are expected to return there on Tuesday to continue the work. Tukmandai in the northern region now, where performing surgeries at the Evangelical Church of Ghana Hospital had always been nerve-wracking and dangerous because of the lack of anesthetic machines. However, after a Joy News report, the hospital now has 2 anesthetic machines donated by the Member of Parliament for the area and a group of foreign missionaries. Jojo Kobna reports that the surgical team is relieved and has suspended plans of leaving the district due to the challenges.
9 months ago, I told a story about a pregnant woman dangerously riding on a motorbike to the hospital to deliver. Our news team managed to carry her in a relatively comfortable vehicle to the hospital. The woman, whom I later got to know as Idon Kerr, had experienced prolonged labor and was bleeding. We drove her to the hospital, and an emergency cesarean section was scheduled because she was too tired to push. Bad news, there was no anesthetic machine for surgery, so the anesthetist had to put the patient to sleep and monitor her vital signs manually. At this point, the doctor burst into a short prayer. It was a big gamble.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you once again. We commit this case into your hand. Come and take control.
It's still alive.
Several minutes later, a baby is born. Jagri, her husband, named the baby immediately. The name Joy was to show gratitude to Joy News for intervening and safely transporting his wife. The doctor on duty was happy but had concerns.
One thing that we don't have is anesthetic machine. And if you realize yesterday, the anesthetist yesterday, when he was trying to give the spinal anesthesia, he struggled. And so it could have happened that he would have failed getting through the spinal anesthesia.
The good news is that the Evangelical Church of Ghana Hospital now has 2 anesthetic machines following the Joy News report. Anesthetist Inlo Bright Yao is excited.
Very happy. This kind of happiness really in me is through the effort of news. Because since I came here, we wrote letters upon letters. And I'll say, join with all the Panda people, if they can get my voice, that is all stand up and thank those news. And I'll say, may God bless them. Because I was giving them letters, I was counting my letters. And when I get to a level, I would have left this place. Because I can't continue to be labeled a negra.
9 months on, Kwabna Joy is doing very well, and his parents
are grateful that they want government to work on the poor nature of the Pandai roads
and also provide ambulance for the community.
I could barely sit on the motorbike. I thank God Joy News showed up. Anything could have happened. Please remind government to give us an ambulance.
Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come.
The situation with Dr. Mensa Otabil, I want to caution every Christian. Shut your mouth. Tell somebody, shut your big mouth.
Shut your mouth. That's the advice from General Overseer of the Christian Action Faith Ministries to Christian and others condemning Pastor Mensa Otabil for his alleged involvement in the collapse of Capital Bank. Details shortly.
That is the sweet sound of excellence. That is the sound from Mack. Yes, Mack Ghana is the #1 distributor of the world's best quality Isuzu and Chevrolet vehicles in Ghana. Isuzu trucks from 1.5 tons to heavy-duty vehicles. Isuzu buses from 15 to 33 seaters, double and single cabin pickup, available in automatic and manual transmissions. We also stock a wide range of Chevy cars from SUVs, sedans, and small cars, fully loaded with exquisite specifications. All our range of vehicles stand out due to its high fuel efficiency, safety, luxury, spacious interior, world-class delivery, and after-sales servicing. What's more, we offer flexible payment terms to meet your pocket. Mack Ghana is a sole distributor for Isuzu trucks and pickups, as well as all range of Chevrolet cars in Ghana. Call us on 0302-813-919 in Accra or 0242-039-550 in Kumasi. Visit our website MackGhana.com. Mack Ghana, with you for the long run.
Thanks for staying here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Time now for sports with Ridwan Asante.
Yes, Bernice, we have to talk about the weekend's round of games later on, at 1, when the sports team will join in with all the reactions, and also looking ahead to that game happening tonight at Old Trafford when Manchester United take Tottenham Hotspur, and also reflecting on Isaac Dugbe's demolition exercise in Arizona, USA, where he won in the first round against Hindori Otake in the WBO Super Bantamweight title. That was at the weekend. But back home, news making rounds is that there's uncertainty surrounding the country's hosting of the 2018 Africa Women's Cup of Nations after several media outlets reported that CAF has withdrawn the rights from the country 2 months to the start of the tournament. A CAF inspection team which visited the country somewhere last month were unimpressed after finding out that Accra Sports Stadium, one of the 2 venues for the tournament, was not ready. According to reports, a decision by the local organizing committee to move the tournament to Cape Coast or Kumasi and Tamale was also rejected, which led to CAF's decision to look elsewhere. Despite the rumors, the Sports Ministry says it is yet to receive an official communication from CAF. Elvis Ejeba is spokesperson for the ministry.
We are making efforts to contact CAF for the clear the air conversation, so that we can also inform the public as such, because at this very moment it's worrying that government has committed a lot of funds into the hosting right of this competition, and the media reports only to circulate in the negative. And so we believe that it's very important that we reach out to CAF and then we clear the air on that. But for at the moment, we can say that there's no such decision taken, because, of course, we haven't received anything from CAF yet.
There's more. We'll be talking on this one at 1 when the sports track team gets underway with more sports.
Thank you, Ridwan Asante. Now, financial analyst Dr. Daniel Sedo says sacked workers of the 7 collapsed banks can only receive severance packages if government borrows beyond the over 8 billion cedis already borrowed because of the banking crisis. This morning, 700 workers of the defunct Beige Bank were laid off by their new employers, Consolidated Bank Ghana. Dr. Sedo says the new bank cannot afford to pay exit packages because of their exit, because of the original employer's dire financial state. He was speaking on the Super Morning Show.
I wish they could be helped. They are victims of all that has happened. But the truth of the matter is that the position of the companies they work for is negative, and the priority will go to depositors and creditors. And if you sort out the depositors and creditors, very likely there will be no money. So if there's no money, they cannot be paid. If we all agree that they should be paid, it means we have to raise the money, pay more tax for them to be paid. As simple as that. It's unfortunate, but that is what has happened to us. That is why you expect responsible leadership, because we have so many people working who must look after the business properly to look after everybody.
Dr. Sedo also said board members of the banks should be first to be blamed for the current crisis. Meanwhile, General Overseer of the Christian Action Faith Ministries, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, has admonished Christians to be measured in their criticism of Pastor Mensah Otabil for his alleged involvement in the collapse of Capital Bank. He was addressing members of his church last weekend.
The situation with Dr. Mensah Otabil, I want to caution every Christian, shut your mouth. Number 2, the Bible says, judge not, and you may not be judged. So shut your mouth. Stop talking about things you don't understand. Somebody asks me, what do you think? I say, I don't think anything. I don't understand. I don't know the details. So let the authorities handle the situation. Don't talk. You talk too much. Christians, you talk too much. Shut your mouth. Tell somebody, shut your big mouth. Now, I'm saying that to Christians. As for unbelievers and the heathens, they have the right to talk. Their day will come. But for us Christians, we are under God's constitution.
You heard General Overseer of the Christian Action Faith Ministries, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. Now, after thrilling Ghanaians in 8 exciting editions of the Adum Praise Concert, Adum FM is set to bring you another night of unforgettable music in the 9th edition, slated for Friday, 31st August. That's just 4 days away. In a build-up to the day, we bring you some highlights of last year's show and a reason why you shouldn't miss this year's. Nancy Amefa-Dradosi has more.
It is a big gospel music festival that's fast becoming a holy annual ritual, taking you closer to heaven. A night with the stars of gospel music. The multimedia choir did not come to play as they delivered a captivating performance. And the Owanweni hit maker Joe Metal, as always, electrified the auditorium. But when Francis Ajay mounted the stage, the entire atmosphere at the hall was awestruck. Leading the pack of impressive acts last year was Nigerian gospel musician Steve Crown. This year promises to be more uplifting, with Ghanaians once again raising their hands in praises and worship to the Most High God. Elder Mreku and Ebenezer Benjamin will lead the pack this year.
He has given me victory.
Nancy Amefa-Dradosi with that report. Meanwhile, renowned gospel artist Kweku JC says he's ready to thrill you.
I want to see each and every one at the Perez Dome. Something new is going to happen. So I want to assure the people of Ghana that I'm ready and ever ready to perform like all that I can do over there. So I'm inviting all the people to come in their numbers. I want to see each and every one coming with your handkerchiefs, coming with your... I don't want you to come with only handkerchief. I want you to bring a towel because you're going to dance till you sweat.
Renowned gospel artist Kweku JC then inviting you to this year's Adum Praise. It's now time to know what's trending. Mapito Sibidi has the latest.
Okay, so in Ghana, Kofi Annan is still trending, and at Aroma says Kofi Annan's funeral is going to be held in Ghana. This is a huge opportunity for Ghana to showcase our culture and traditions. It will be good for our tourism too. We shouldn't miss this up. But in other parts of the world, hashtag Monday Motivation is trending, and at Carol Wilder says the one who falls and gets up is so much stronger stronger than the one who never fell. And at Cute, Avini says, ask yourself if what you're doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. Hashtag Monday Motivation.
Great motivation to end this edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Benis Abubeidu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
With